So this is a practice that is kind of in the same world as a lot of the practices that the Holistic Life Foundation offers. And that was kind of one of the fun things when we met. We were just like all excited because we've been doing a lot of the same practices. And so although chanting mantras can feel really different, it's actually, the goal is the same as, doing a meditation or doing some pranayama, doing asana like that. I always joke that at the end of a kirtan, of chanting, you kind of feel the same as like the end of a yoga class, but you haven't had to have worked so hard. But I find for myself that this kind of, all the different practices, they have different nuances, so they kind of do different things. And certainly for myself, there's been times in my life when I've gravitated towards doing a lot of one type of practice for a while, and that's carried me for some years, depending on like what's happening in my life. And then other times I'll kind of move into a whole other zone, and it's just like pranayama all the time, like that. So the nuts and bolts of doing this practice it's a very similar process to, let's say, a breath meditation, where the anchor, the object of your awareness, there is on the breath, and here it's on the mantra. So the fun part is that this is a group practice, and it's call and response chanting. So it starts with me singing the mantra, and then you singing it back to me. So it's kind of amazing, because it's just something we don't normally ever do with other people. Like maybe you sang a little bit in the shower today, and there was like a neighbor, and you sang together, but otherwise it just doesn't happen that often, right? So, and actually the first time I experienced it was by accident. A friend of mine had invited me to a Krishna Das event, and I happened, I thought I kind of knew his stuff. I had a CD of his that I listened to for many years. I happen to have the one album that is not call and response. So when I was there in this like church full of like 500 people, and everyone sang together, I was like a little bit surprised, as you might imagine. So it's a fun practice in that way. So, but what's so cool about it is kirtan. It's in India, where a lot of the call and response chanting originates. These practices are grouped into a lot of other devotional practices. So it's really interesting, I think, to kind of look at what this has to do with devotion. And for all of us in this room who are somehow involved in caretaking of some kind, devotion is a big part of our lives. We're either devoted to someone else's well-being or health or, something of that nature. So, in that way that we kind of gather ourselves into the breath, here we do that with the mantra. So it's both the listening, kind of like a hearing meditation. So it's like you draw in all your awareness into like, I'm just listening. And then also gathering your attention into you singing the mantra. And, that works like for a second, and then we're thinking about whatever is gonna be for breakfast tomorrow, or like, is my roommate gonna snore again? I just don't really know. So the secret weapon is the beginning again. And, Sharon's so like cool. She kind of she's just like such a pro at it, but beginning again and learning how to do that is a huge deal. Like it's a total game changer, because what we learn there is like a microcosm for everything we do in our lives. if we can learn how to be gentle and also kind of just practical about beginning again. It's like we kind of get back to work instead of just flying off even more. And the way we learn to do that here, we can do it when we brush our teeth. We can do it that same way when we're cooking dinner and we want to bring all our attention there, or we're feeding our children, or we're taking care of someone we love, or we're dealing with someone who's really challenging and we're in charge of them. All of these different things. So it's that same process, which is deceivingly simple. So it's fun, and we'll just, like with all these practices, it's an experiment to see, how it is for you. I will add to this that this practice isn't about how you sound. So, I know it's like a little self-conscious to be singing in public. Don't worry about it. Just go for it.